The previous episode number 28, was focusing on the high level of the fourth industrial revolution. This episode, which is episode number 29, I want to give a detailed account of the fourth industrial revolution, referring to the great work that has been done by the World Economic Forum Center for the Fourth Industrial Revolution, which is based in San Francisco, and the book written by the founder and the executive chairman of the World Economic Forum, Mr. Klaus Schwab. I'm not intending to reproduce the book, but I just want to refer to some of the fundamental points he is covering in that book. I think it is quite a very good reference book for anyone, individual or a company, an organization that wants to understand the fourth industrial revolution. In his book, he is talking about the mega trends, and these mega trends are divided into the digital, physical, and biological mega trends. And he goes further and look at the various aspects of our society that are affected by the fourth industrial revolution, starting with the economy, whereby he is focusing on the growth, how this is affected by the fourth industrial revolution, employment, and the nature of work. Under business, he's looking at the customer expectations. I think here the suggestion is that we can expect that the customers will want more from their suppliers as a result of these technologies that are happening. The second point under business is the new operating models. Businesses will have to adapt their operating models to respond to the fourth industrial revolution. It talks about the data-enhanced products. Many products will have to carry more information, and that will be made possible by data, or what we call big data. And also it talks about the collaborative innovation under business. Under national and global, governments will certainly have to respond to the fourth industrial revolution. Obviously, we have to grapple with the issue of international security, and of course, countries and regions and cities definitely going to have to respond. And the concept of the smart cities comes in here. And there is a mention of the fact that very soon a city with citizens of about 50,000 will not need robots, because this will be smart cities using big data and sensors to can be able to provide security and safety of its residents or citizens. Under the society, the focus is on community, the impact on communities, the middle class specifically as a category of the community, of the society, and of course the inequalities that are going to come as a result of the fourth industrial revolution. At the individual level, we look on issues like ethics, morality, things like culture, and many other aspects that actually determine the individual response. Human connection is quite very relevant in this case. So I then would like to go a little bit more again in details into the other previous industrial revolutions, and most of the information that I'm sharing with you, it comes from the website of the World Economic Forum, and also from the Google. You can Google a lot of this information to understand how the three other industrial revolutions happened. Let's look at the first industrial revolution. It took place between 1760 and 1840. This first industrial revolution is widely taken to be the shift from our reliance on animals, human effort, and biomass as primary sources of energy to the use of fossil fuels and the mechanical power enabled by this revolution. And it started exactly as I said in the 1760 and is part of the history that ushered the future. This revolution holds a crucial place in history as it marked the era of mechanization. It was time where men began to understand and use different energy sources. It was the time when industries began to reign over the world. It can be characterized by the following. One, the first usable steam engine. Two, the age of textiles, referred to as the spinning jenny era, which was a multi-spindle spinning frame, and it was one of the key developments in the industrialization of weaving during the early industrial revolution. This machine was invented in 1764 by James Hargreaves in Stanhill, Oswald Twistle in Lancashire in England. 3. It is the era of the James Watt's take on the steam engine in 1778. 4. The rise of power looms and the age of iron. Number 5. At number 6, it was identified by what was called a cotton gin. A cotton gin is a machine that quickly and easily separates cotton fibers from their seeds, enabling much greater productivity than more manual cotton separation. The fibers are then processed into various cotton goods such as linens, while any undamaged cotton is used largely for textiles like clothing. So the period during the first industrial revolution saw the rise of industries mechanized by steam engine, the fast-paced textile industry, evolving stages of metallurgy and metalworks. That's how it can be summarized. And of course, there's always going to be overlap between the first industrial revolution and the second industrial revolution, between the second industrial revolution and the third industrial revolution, and between, of course, the third industrial revolution and the fourth industrial revolution. Let's look at the second industrial revolution, also known as the technological revolution. It took place between 1870 and 1914, characterized by the division of labor, introduction of electricity, and the mass production. This second industrial revolution, as stated, it's referred to as the technological revolution. So it took part towards the end of the 19th century and the first 2 decades of the 20th century, and it brought major breakthroughs, as stated, in the form of electricity distribution, wireless and wired communication, the synthesis of ammonia, and new forms of power generation. Approximately a century after the end of the first industrial revolution, the world indeed witnessed a rapid shift from the conventional forms of the previous innovations. And this change was a target in utilizing the power of electricity, oil, and gas. In this era, as we said, the world witnessed innovations, particularly in communication, transformation, and manufacturing. To start things off into this second revolution, a remarkable invention in the field of communication was made, namely the telegraph. The telegraph today stands as the cornerstone of modern-day communication systems as we know it. It was invented by Samuel Morse in the 1800s but the first working telegram station came into operations only in 1844. In 1866, Alexander Graham Bell took the patent for a device called telephone. However, it is believed that it was the blood, sweat and tears of the mechanical genius named Antonio Meucci, Meucci, that made what was then called the talking telegram, thus making him the father of the modern communication as we know it today. Another man called Edison had a quest to light up the world, and he was not the person behind the first light bulb, but he was the one who perfected it. The first patent from Edison was filed on the 14th of October 1878. The patent was for the improvement of electricity lights, and Edison continued his research on bulb even after filing the patent to perfect the design. It was only in 1906 that the patent for bulbs with tungsten-based filaments was filed by Edison. And the manufacturing of bulbs brought about changes that were beyond imagination. People were able to light up their homes and work even at odd hours. It also accelerated the adoption of electricity. The other key people during the Second Industrial Revolution are the Wright brothers, who invented a three-axis system that made the aircraft maintain equilibrium even at high speed. So they are credited with the first flight in history. This fundamental principle of the three-axis system remains the same even today in the aviation field. Who could forget about Henry Ford's Model T car? The introduction of the assembly line was a reason why Model T was such a hit, and this brought down the cost considerably and changed how Americans travel forever. It is estimated that over 15 million Model T cars were sold worldwide within 15 years. Let's look at the Third Industrial Revolution, which took place between 1969 and 2000. And it's characterized by the electronics, information technology, and automated production. When we look back at the First and Second Industrial Revolution, we see an age that genuinely defined where we are today. We cannot deny that automation and industrial revolution, however, brought on some adverse effects to the world. And this brings us to the universal fact by Heraclitus, the Greek philosopher, who said that the only thing that is constant is change. And this change, as we know it, it can bring good or bad, but it is the only thing that is constant indeed. Hence these revolutions that keep on coming. The Third Industrial Revolution, as stated, it began in the 1950s with the development of digital systems, communication, and rapid advances in computing power, which have enabled new ways of generating, processing, and sharing information today. Let's now put our focus on the Fourth Industrial Revolution, which is the now. And as stated, I borrow most of the information from the World Economic Forum's website and the book written by its executive founding chairman, Mr. Klaus Schwab, simply titled The Fourth Industrial Revolution. This Fourth Industrial Revolution can be defined, according to Wikipedia, as the fourth major industrial era since the initial industrial revolution of the 18th century. It is characterized by a fusion of technologies that is blurring the lines between the physical, digital, and biological spheres, collectively referred to as cyber-physical systems. The revolutions are as a result of humankind's desire to develop, expand, and grow. This has led to all the significant inventions in our society. Technologies in the fourth industrial revolution are emerging and affecting our lives in ways that indicate we are at the beginning of a fourth industrial revolution indeed, a new era that builds and extends the impact of digitalization in new and unanticipated ways. It is therefore worthwhile taking some time to consider exactly what kind of shifts we are experiencing and how we might collectively and individually ensure that it creates benefits for the many rather than the few. Whereas the capabilities of the fourth industrial revolution are reliant on the technologies and infrastructure of the third industrial revolution, the fourth industrial revolution represents entirely new ways in which technology becomes embedded within societies and even our human bodies. Examples include genome editing, new forms of machine intelligence, breakthrough materials, and approaches to governance that rely on cryptographic methods such as blockchain. Genome editing is a way of making specific changes to the DNA of a cell or organism. An enzyme cuts the DNA at a specific sequence, and when this is repaired by the cell, a change or edit is made to the sequence. Wikipedia defines genome editing or genome engineering as a type of genetic engineering in which DNA is inserted, deleted, modified, or replaced in the genome of a living organism. As the novelist William Gibson famously said, the future is already here. It is just not very evenly distributed. Indeed, in other parts of the world, aspects of the second and third industrial revolution have yet to be experienced, complicated by the fact that new technologies are in some cases able to leapfrog older ones. United Nations pointed in 2013 more people in the world have access to a mobile phone than basic sanitation. Quite an amazing finding there. In the same way, the fourth industrial revolution is beginning to emerge at the same time that the third digital revolution is spreading and maturing across countries and organizations. The complexity of these technologies and their emergent nature makes many aspects of the fourth industrial revolution feel unfamiliar and to many threatening. We should therefore remember that all industrial revolutions are ultimately driven by the individual and collective choices of people. And it is not just the choices of researchers, inventors, and designers developing the underlying technologies that matters, but even more importantly, those investors, consumers, regulators, and citizens who adopt and employ these technologies in daily lives. The fourth industrial revolution may look and feel like an exogenous force with the power of a tsunami, but in reality it is a reflection of our desires and choices. At the heart of discussions around emerging technologies, there is a critical and central question. What do we want these technologies to deliver for us? The survey by the World Economic Forum titled Technology Tipping Points that was published in September 2015 expect the following to happen by the year 2025, which is basically 7 years from now. 10% of people wearing clothes connected to the internet by 2025. Secondly, there will be the first robotic pharmacist in operations in the United States of America. Thirdly, we will experience the first 3D printed car in production. Number 4, we will have 5% of consumer products printed in 3D. Number 5, we'll have 90% of the population of the world with regular access to the internet. That's massive, yeah. 7, we will experience 10% of all cars in the US roads will be driverless cars. Number 8, the first transplant of a 3D printed liver will happen in 2025. Number 9, we'll have over 50% of internet traffic to homes will be for appliances and devices. Over 50% of internet usage will go to appliances and devices. Number 10, we will experience the first city with more than 50,000 people and having no traffic lights at all because of the connected sensors that will ensure the safety of the citizens. And lastly, number 12, there will be the first artificial intelligence machine sitting on corporate boards of directors. Wow. Just 7 years from now, those will be the events under the fourth industrial revolution indeed. We better be ready. The research done by 2 Oxford researchers, Carl Benedict Frey and Michael A. Osborne, estimates that 47% of Americans' jobs are at a high risk of being automated. And here are the probabilities opposite the identified jobs. 98% of law officers' jobs will be computerized or will be automated. 96% of paralegals and legal assistants, 92% of retail salespersons, 89% of taxi drivers and chauffeurs, 84% of security guards, 81% of cooks in fast foods, 77% of bartenders, 58% of personal financial advisors, 48% of computer programmers, 11% of reporters and correspondents, 7.4% of musicians and singers, 3.5% of lawyers. These are really mix of white-collar jobs and blue-collar jobs that are likely to be automated, according to the research by Carl Benedict Frey and Michael A. Osborne from Oxford. As stated, there are a number of technology shifts. I'm just going to look on a few of them and look at the information obtainable from the World Economic Forum research work and their website. The first one is the digital health. Big data will help to reduce costs and inefficiencies in healthcare systems, improve access and quality of care, and make medicine more personalized and precise. In the future, we will have very detailed digital medical profiles, including information that we may perhaps not want it to be public. Digitalization is empowering people to look after their own health. There will be apps, for instance, that track how much you eat, sleep, and exercise, and being able to ask a doctor a question by simply just tapping on those on our smartphones. Wow, that will be very good for our health, and I'm sure this will better our lives. The next shift is that of digitalization of matter. Here we talk about the 3D printers that will create not only cars, houses, and other objects, but also human tissue, bones, and customized prosthetics. Patients will not have to die while waiting for organ donations because hospitals will be able to do bioprinting. And in fact, this is, according to the information on the World Economic Forum, already happening, as done in China in 2014, where the doctors apparently printed a spine implant. And this is published in the journal known as Popular Science. So the 3D printing will brings together computational designs, manufacturing, materials engineering, and synthetic biology. And it reduces the gap between the makers of these products and their users by removing limitations of mass production and logistics and distribution. So consumers will be able to design their personalized products online and will soon be able to simply just press print instead of waiting for delivery. There and there the product will be made for them. The third shift is that of the Internet of Things. Here it's stated that within the next decade, it is expected that more than trillion sensors will be connected to the Internet. Wow. And if almost everything is connected, therefore it will certainly transform how we do business and how we manage resources efficiently and, of course, sustainably. These connected sensors will be able to share information from their surrounding environment and organize themselves in such a way that it makes our lives easy and safe. Think of this driverless or cars or self-driven cars that will communicate with one another and as a result preventing accidents. And it's stated that by 2020, that's just a year from now, around 22% of the world's cars will all be connected to the internet. And this is about 290 million vehicles. And by 2024, more than half of home internet traffic, as stated, will be used by appliances and devices. From your car to your house, things will communicate and you will be protected and they will communicate with you as well. So therefore, home automation is really happening very fast. Today, we can already control our lights, our heating and air conditioning and security systems remotely. And how much longer will it be before sensors are able to detect that our house is dirty and then instruct the automated vacuum machines or cleaners to tidy up? Or your fridge will be able to communicate to you while you are at work that it is run empty and you should go via the shop and fill up. Or perhaps the food in the fridge are rotten and not healthy anymore for eating, so you need to make sure that you organize a helper to come and remove the old stuff and replace them with the new stuff. Let us look at the new kid on the block, blockchain. That's another technology shift. It is already here, it's already happening, but it's a very minimal, small and tiny fraction of the gross domestic product. But this could be about to change as financial services industry, that is the banks, insurers, and other companies are running fast to work out how they can use technology to cut costs already. A blockchain is nothing else but a network of computers that must all approve transactions before they can be verified and recorded on the chain. Before blockchain, we used to depend heavily on the banks as middlemen and the verification of legitimacy of transaction. But today, blockchain can act as that trusted authority on every kind of transaction that involves money, goods, and property. So the uses of blockchain technology are really endless. And some are even thinking that in the next decade, they could also be used to collect taxes on behalf of governments, treasuries. It will make it easier for immigrants or foreigners to send money back home, especially those who are coming from countries where the financial institutions are limited or not available. It will reduce financial fraud tremendously because every transaction will be recorded and distributed on the public ledger, which is accessible by anyone who has connection to internet. This is how the blockchain works. Step 1, let's assume that person A wants to send money to person B. Second step, the transaction is then represented online as a block being initiated by that person A. Step 3, that block is then broadcast to every part of the network, to every party in the network. In other words, to every participant that is in the network connected through internet. Step 4, those people that are in the network will then have to approve the transaction as being valid first. In other words, before we can proceed, the people in the network will approve it to be valid. And then it takes us then to the step 5, where the block can then be added to the chain. And this provided then, which then provides the chain, which then provides a lot of information and transparent record of transactions. That public general ledger we're talking about. And only then we go into step 6, where the money then can be transferred from person A to person B. And this is all done by the machines. Quite amazing stuff indeed. The next shift is the wearable internet. Technology is getting increasingly personal as computers are fast moving from our desks or tables to our laps and to our pockets, and very soon indeed they will be integrated into our clothing. It is said that by 2025, 7 years from now, about 10% of the people are expected to be wearing clothes that are connected to the internet. And at the same time, we expect the first implantable mobile phone to be sold. So these implantable and wearable devices, such as sports shirts, will provide real-time workout data by measuring sweat output, the heart rate, and breathing intensity. And it will really change our understanding of what it means to be online and blurring the lines between the physical and digital worlds. So if you're not online, you will not benefit from this instantaneous update on your state of being health-wise. Therefore, the potential benefits are great, but let's accept it, there are also many challenges because these devices can provide immediate information about our health, but what about our security? However, let's not forget that one of the great benefits of this wearable internet will be the ability for parents or people in the security or the police to locate missing children. That's a great value add. And being able to control these devices with our brains will make it possible for people who are disabled to fully engage with the world. The World Economic Forum has also identified what we call artificial intelligence purposes. There are about 8 of them. In other words, what artificial intelligence could be used for. They are listed as number 1, transactional purpose, number 2, communicative purpose, number 3, educative purpose, number 4, social purpose, number 5, play purpose, number 6, administrative purpose, number 7, diagnostic purpose, and lastly, number 8, behavioral purpose. Let's look at them one by one. The transactional purpose by the artificial intelligence, the primary intent of the transactional purpose is to sell, and the area of application is the online sales and customer service. The example is Twyla and Cognico. Twyla is spelled T-W-Y-L-A, and Cognico is spelled C-O-G-N-I-C-O-R. The communicative purpose primary intent is to inform, and the areas of applications are in maps and transport, food and restaurants, cultural and social activities. Examples are the Apple's Siri and Amazon's Alexa. The educative purpose primary intent is to learn, and the areas of application are teaching assistance, special education, personalized education, parenting, and scientific learning. Examples are the Apple's Jill Watson, which is the artificial intelligence used, the IBM's Jill Watson, which is the artificial intelligence used for teaching purposes. Another example is Muse, which is an artificial intelligence powered parenting board, which wants to help parents help their children succeed. Another example is Wookie the alien, which is the proactive conversation robot that keeps your child safe and engaged in their learning. The social purpose primary intent is to connect, and the application is in social networking, music discovery, identity authorization. Examples are Facebook artificial intelligence research, Twitter, Apple Face ID, and SoundHound, which is technology for voice-enabled world. The play purpose primary intent is to entertain, and the application area is gaming and toys. Examples of the play purpose are OpenAI. The OpenAI is a non-profit artificial intelligence research company discovering and enacting the path to safe artificial general intelligence. And another example is the Genesis toys. The administrative purpose primary intent is to manage, and the areas of application are in finance and digital integration. The examples are Clio, ABE, and Mosaic. The diagnostic purpose primary intent is to identify, and the application area is medication use, health monitoring, alert systems, and medical symptoms. Examples are ADA, which is artificial intelligence created by doctors, scientists, and engineers to put free artificial intelligence-powered healthcare in everyone's hands. The other one is Giant, Gyant. Another one is Troy AI and Jubi AI. The behavioral purpose primary intent is to change, and the application areas are in healthy eating, exercise, mental health, and well-being. Example is Health Hero and Wu Put. In his book, Klaus Schwab, the author of the Fourth Industrial Revolution, and the founding executive chairman of World Economic Forum. He lists the 21 technology shifts that are presented in the study by the World Economic Forum as the following. This shift 1 is implantable technologies. Shift 2 is our digital presence. Shift 3 is a vision as the new interface. Shift 4 is wearable internet. Shift 5 is ever-present computing or ubiquitous computing. Shift 6, a supercomputer in your pocket. Shift 7, storage for all. Shift 8, the Internet of and for things. Shift 9, the connected home. Shift 10, smart cities. Shift 11, big data for decisions. Shift 12, driverless cars. Shift 13, artificial intelligence, AI and decision making. Shift 14, AI and white-collar jobs. Shift 15, robotics and services. Shift 16, Bitcoin and the blockchain. Shift 17, the sharing economy. Shift 18, government and the blockchain. Shift 19, three-dimensional printing and manufacturing. Shift 20, three-dimensional printing and human health. Shift 21, the last one, three-dimensional printing and consumer products. And as stated, these are the outcome of the study by the World Economic Forum's Global Agenda Council on the Future of Software and Society titled Deep Shift, the Technology Tipping Point and Social Impact. And this report was published in September 2015. I would like to end this podcast by giving some few case studies. Let me first state that I came up with a self-quotation dedicated to myself, and it goes as follows. I quote, "South Africa will need to unpack these technology shifts, educate its citizens, encourage them to befriend these technologies rather than fearing them, highlight the challenges brought by these technologies, and advise them on the kind of human capital development and retraining interventions they may want to consider to remain relevant. Otherwise, I'm afraid many more people will become unemployable and isolated in this era of the fourth industrial revolution." Quote close. By myself, Sam Zima, Executive Coach and Chief Executive of Comesa GOC International Pty Limited. Here is a case study in closing. A qualification in marketing is no longer a qualification unless it has the word in it digital. Hence the explosion of the new qualifications offered by the likes of SimplyLearn, Coursera, Udemy, Digital Marketing Institute, and many more others. They are all offered online and range from the Digital Marketing Specialist Master's Program, Professional Diploma in Digital Marketing, Postgraduate Diploma in Digital Marketing, to degrees like Masters in Digital Marketing. The new students and marketing professionals are made relevant to the fourth industrial revolution by being equipped deeply in famous learning themes like search engine optimization, SEO, social media for business, content marketing, email marketing, mobile marketing, pay per click, conversion optimization, digital analytics, marketing automation, programmatic buying, Google Analytics specific techniques and reports, Google AdWords fundamentals, Facebook marketing and advertising, YouTube and video marketing, Twitter advertising, and digital marketing strategy. So it can be noted, there's no base of this case study, that it's no longer enough just to have the general conventional qualification. You need to bring in digital marketing, or technology into it to be relevant to this era of the fourth industrial revolution. I want to once again compliment the World Economic Forum and Mr. Klaus Schwab for coming up with a very informative book titled The Fourth Industrial Revolution. I highly recommend it, and I highly recommend that you visit the World Economic Forum website, specifically their Fourth Industrial Revolution Center, which apparently is based in San Francisco in the US, but you can access their work by visiting their site. I hope this podcast has been quite very inspiring, at the same time challenging and motivating, that you plug on to these issues and not be left behind by the fourth industrial revolution, especially being much closer to the 21 technology shifts as mentioned in the book by Klaus Schwab. Thank you very much. Feel free to contact us at Cometa office, telephone number +27 11 974 930, or contact us on the mobile number +27 72 376 7503. Or you can send us an email at callcenter@cometa-goc.com. Call center is spelled CALLCENTRE, and it is at cometa-goc.com. Cometa is spelled COMETSA. We look forward to hear from you. And if you are not able to get hold of us, you can visit our website, which is www.cometa-goc.com. We look forward to seeing you during the next episode, and you take care. Goodbye.